In today's cybersecurity update, we're talking about a critical Windows Server vulnerability that's already being actively exploited in the wild. Microsoft has released an out-of-band patch for Windows Server Update Services, or WSUS, to fix a remote code execution flaw tracked as CVE-2025-59287. This one scores a 9.8 out of 10 on the severity scale. Let's break down what's going on, how attackers are exploiting it, and what admins can do right now. $1 billion. That's how much a mysterious cybercrime group called the Smishing Triad has stolen by sending fake text messages. Since January 2024, they've created over 194,000 malicious websites, each designed to trick victims into giving away money, passwords, or banking codes. But who are they? How do they operate? And why can't anyone stop them? On October 24th, Microsoft pushed an out-of-band security update outside the usual Patch Tuesday cycle. The reason? A critical flaw in WSUS was publicly disclosed, a proof-of-concept exploit was available, and attackers had begun weaponizing it. The issue, reported by multiple researchers, involves unsafe deserialization of untrusted data inside WSUS. In plain language, a remote, unauthenticated attacker can send a maliciously crafted request that tricks WSUS into executing code, potentially with system-level privileges. Smishing, short for SMS phishing, is a cyber attack where criminals send fake text messages pretending to be trusted organizations. You might get one that says, "Your package couldn't be delivered, click this link," or "Unpaid toll detected, pay immediately to avoid fines." Once you click, you're led to a fake website that looks identical to the real one. You enter your information and the criminals get everything: passwords, bank details, even authentication codes. These pages often perfectly mimic banks, postal services, or government portals, creating urgency so you act before you think. The vulnerability stems from WSUS using BinaryFormatter-based deserialization. When WSUS receives an authorization cookie object via the getCookie endpoint, it decrypts it using AS128 CBC and then deserializes it without strict type validation. That gap enables a crafted payload to trigger unsafe deserialization and execute arbitrary code. Microsoft has long advised against using BinaryFormatter for untrusted data, and .NET 9 removed BinaryFormatter entirely in 2024. SUSE's reliance on legacy behavior left an opening that attackers could exploit. According to researchers at Palo Alto Networks Unit 42, the Smishing Triad is no ordinary hacker crew. Since January 1, 2024, they've spun up more than 194,000 malicious domains. Many domains are registered through a Hong Kong-based registrar, Dominet HK Limited, but the infrastructure largely runs on popular US cloud services, with a big footprint on Cloudflare. Translation: attackers leverage mainstream American infrastructure to run a global scam at scale. Their domains resolve to tens of thousands of unique IP addresses, with heavy concentrations in the United States, plus China and Singapore. Security teams observed exploitation attempts shortly after disclosure. National and private sector sources reported real-world attacks on October 24 targeting exposed WSUS instances, usually over ports 8530 and 8531. Attackers issued multiple crafted post requests that caused the WSUS worker to spawn command exe in PowerShell, then downloaded and executed base64 encoded payloads. Post-compromise, activity focused on enumerating servers and users and exfiltrating results to attacker-controlled endpoints. Investigators estimate this smishing empire has earned more than $1 billion in 3 years. Beyond stealing passwords, recent reports show the group increasingly targets brokerage accounts. Once inside trading accounts, they can manipulate prices with so-called ramp and dump tactics, pushing prices up, then cashing out before the drop. Because actions happen within legitimate accounts, there's often little obvious paper trail, raising the stakes for both investors and platforms. Microsoft clarified that the initial fix didn't fully mitigate the issue and reissued the CVE with a stronger patch. Supported Windows Server versions covered include 2012, 2012 R2, 2016, 2019, 2022, including the 23H2 Server Core, and 2025. Admins should install the update and reboot systems so protections take effect. If immediate patching isn't possible, temporary mitigations include disabling the WSUS server role if it's not needed and blocking inbound traffic to ports 8530 and 8531. Keep these mitigations in place until the patch has been applied. The Smishing Triad has evolved into a phishing-as-a-service ecosystem. A criminal supply chain where every specialist has a role. Phishing kit developers create convincing website templates. Data brokers sell lists of target phone numbers. Domain sellers register disposable domains by the thousands. Hosting providers rent servers. Spammers deliver messages at massive scale. Liveness scanners validate active phone numbers. Blocklist scanners rotate domains to dodge detection. This division of labor makes the operation efficient, resilient, and scalable, hard to dismantle even if one piece is exposed. WSUS is a central distribution point for updates in many enterprise environments. If an attacker compromises WSUS, they could potentially use that trust to push malicious code across the network. Even though WSUS isn't typically exposed to the internet, any externally reachable instance becomes a high-value target. This risk profile explains the high severity score and the urgency behind the out-of-band update. The single most impersonated service is the United States Postal Service, with tens of thousands of fake domains mimicking USPS pages. Toll service lures are especially common, driving victims with urgent notices about unpaid fees or violations. Researchers also observed a rise in phishing domains that appear to be government-related, increasing perceived legitimacy. Most phishing sites are very short-lived. A large share disappears within days, many within a week. This rapid churn is the strategy, constantly swapping in fresh domains faster than defenders can block them. Victims span banks, cryptocurrency exchanges, delivery services, police agencies, state-owned enterprises, hospitality, social media, and e-commerce, across multiple countries. Patch immediately, do not wait for a routine cycle. Reboot the server after installing the update. Confirm that WSUS is not exposed to the public internet and restrict access to ports 8530 and 8531. Monitor for suspicious command exe or PowerShell processes spawned by the WSUS worker. Review logs and network telemetry for unusual outbound connections that could indicate data exfiltration. Disposable domains mean that once a site is flagged, it's simply replaced. Hosting on mainstream cloud services blends malicious traffic into normal internet background noise. The international nature of registration, hosting, and monetization complicates investigations across jurisdictions. And because the ecosystem is decentralized, many different actors each handling a small piece, it's difficult to take down the whole operation at once. This is one of those vulnerabilities that progresses quickly. A public proof of concept, active exploitation, and an emergency patch within days. The takeaway: patch early, patch often, and treat out-of-band updates with urgency, especially when remote code execution is on the line. Stay safe and see you in the next security update. The smishing triad may sound cinematic, but the victims are real, everyday people losing savings to fake text messages. The next time you receive a message asking you to click a link to fix an account or pay a fee, pause and verify through official channels. Behind that link might be a billion-dollar cyber empire. Subscribe for more clear, no-hype breakdowns of cyber threats and how to stay safe online.